Good morning, everyone. In the previous session of Global HRD, I was explaining about the retrospect of HRD, which was the initial stages, how HRD evolved, how the concept of HRD was implemented in the organization, simply the beginning of HRD in Indian organization and how it was used in the initial stages. So that was all about retrospect of HRD. In today's session, I am going to explain what are the various challenges which are faced by the Indian organization while implementing HRD in their system. And then I will explain the prospects of HRD. What are the changes which were actually made in some of the laws, and what were the changes which were made by some of the organization which would help HRD to be more effective in future. So these are the two topics which I am going to explain today. Okay. So the first one is the challenges for HRD in India. Like I said, after LPG, many of the foreign organizations, many of the foreign companies entered into the Indian market. They collaborated with the Indian companies and started doing the business. And with this collaboration, they also brought their the higher standard of maintaining human resource, retaining human resource, and the concept of HRD with them. So what happened when foreign organizations collaborated with Indian companies? They brought higher standard in terms of maintaining, managing, and developing human resource. So HRD was already an integral part for those foreign companies. So with the Indian companies which collaborated with the foreign companies, they also adapted this HRD concept and they implemented HRD system in their organization. But what about the other companies which were in India, but still they didn't collaborate with any foreign companies? And what they faced, the basic difficulty is that now they have to compete with the higher standards of the foreign companies, not only in terms of production, but also in terms of maintenance and development of human resource. Now, this was the time when Indian organizations decided to give more importance to the human resource. They also started implementing and executing HRD programs for so that they can compete with the foreign companies, they can compete with big, huge MNCs. So that was the beginning of HRD in every organization. They implemented few aspects of HRD. Some of the organization completely adapted the HRD aspect and some adapted few portions of HRD only. But still they had to face many challenges because before that they didn't pay much attention to the development of human resource, but suddenly now they have to make necessary changes. So changes, as always, are not welcomed by everyone. So that was the main problem, and there are various other problems which I am going to explain today. Okay, so the first challenge which was faced by the Indian organizations are lack of adaptation of innovative HRD practices. See, adaptation of innovative HRD practices needs changes within the organization. So HRD is very innovative because the programs which were used in the HRD, the way the system and how it is properly operated in order to make it more and more effective, it needs to be modified throughout the time. Necessary changes are made in the HRD system, in the HRD practices, and every organization need to accept those innovative HRD practices so that they can maintain and they can get effective, they can make HRD more and more effective. So what happened? Because of these innovative HRD practices, many organizations had to make necessary changes within the organization. And like I said, changes are not always welcome. The labor unions and the employees, the workers, these people were resistance toward the change. They didn't understand the concept of HRD. They didn't understand the importance of such kind of changes. So they didn't cooperate with the management. And because of lack of cooperation from the worker side, from the labor union side, from the employee side, what happened? HRD wasn't that successful. Some of the organizations failed to implement HRD successfully because of lack of acceptance from the labor union side. So that was a major problem or major challenge. They had to convince those people, they have to make understand them how HRD is going to benefit them also. So that was a very huge challenge for the Indian organization. The next one, large organization couldn't adapt HRD practices completely. See, first of all, whenever an organization is implementing something new, the first and the most important thing that comes to mind is the cost. What would be the cost of implementing, creating an HRD department within the organization? Are we going to get some kind of benefit after using a large amount of money in HRD? Is it going to be successful? Is it going to be effective? So many questions arises in the implementation of a new element or a new system. So that was the main problem. They wanted to adapt completely HRD, but they couldn't because of the cost involved. Now, why this kind of cost is involved? See, we cannot simply create an HRD department. We have to hire people who can prepare proper HRD programs by understanding the present capability and ability and potential of the employees, and then create programs so that it can be easily developed. They have to create an effective learning process, a step-by-step learning process and programs. So that kind of thing requires professionals. So it involves cost, proper necessary climate, the necessary changes in the climates are also required so that it can boost HRD implementation. That also involved cost. So there are various aspects which had to be changed, which had to be implemented, and they have to hire people who have proper knowledge regarding creation of HRD programs and all that. So that involved a large amount of money. And because this involvement of cost, many organizations were not able to adapt it completely. So that was a huge challenge. That is, they have to reduce the cost, and at the same time, the HRD programs needed to be effective. So that was another challenge for the Indian organization. The next one is public and family owned organizations fell behind the foreign companies in implementation of HRD. So after LPG, what happened? Foreign companies entered into the Indian market. They collaborated with Indian organization, and with them, they brought higher technology, complicated technology, higher standards of maintaining human resource, higher quality of product. They brought many things into the country. And at the same time, they brought HRD system. So these systems were already implemented in their organization, and now it had to be implemented in the Indian organization. Because those Indian organizations which have collaborated with the foreign companies, they to some kind had access and knowledge regarding this HRD concept, how it is supposed to be maintained, how they are supposed to introduce within an organization. So they also started implementing and creating proper HRD programs, creating a HRD department. So it was very not very easy, but to some extent they had information, they had proper foundation and proper help from their foreign partners. So it was kind of easy for them. But when it comes to public and family owned company, they fell behind. First of all, they had to compete with the foreign standards in terms of product quality, in terms of advertising, in terms of getting finance, in terms of maintenance of human resource also. So many changes were happening at one point of time, at the same time. So they had to focus on HR also. So they started implementing HRD, but they were very behind. They fell behind than the foreign companies there, the MNCs and the Indian organization which have contact with foreign companies. So they started implementing, but they became little bit late. So this was very necessary for them because they had to give competition to foreign organizations in every aspect. So this was a change which was very much necessary for them. Because of introduction of foreign companies into the Indian market, they fell behind. They had to start it from the beginning. understanding HRD, how it is supposed to be implemented, where foreign companies already had advantage because they already have proper HRD department and everything which is required for it. So in that sense, they fell behind because foreign organization already had, and the companies which collaborated with them, they also helped them, but the other family and public organization, they didn't have any kind of support or any kind of proper information how to do it and all that. That's why they fell behind. So they had to catch up with them. So that was another huge challenge for them. Next one is, the main challenge was to create a flexible system. See, whenever a new concept is introduced in an organization, the most important aspect needs to be to create the system so flexible that any kind of change can take place at any point of time. And this was a main challenge for many of the organization, because most of the organization had a fixed structure, culture and climate and all that. These things are not very flexible. Now with the introduction of HRD, they have to make this system flexible enough to introduce more and more changes, because when one change is introduced, it has to be updated and upgraded throughout the time. So necessary changes are required from time to time in each and every aspect of the organization, and that required flexible system. So with proper implementation of HRD, an organization not only had to create a HRD department, at the same time they had to make the entire structure, entire system flexible, which was a huge challenge for every organization. Now the organization which have good leadership, good leaders, so they understood the importance of HRD, how teamwork is necessary, how it is very important to work as a team within an organization. So it was easy for them to understand the flexibility of the system, understand the importance of flexibility of the system. So for those companies which did not have good leadership, good leaders, for them it was a main challenge. The next one is, competitive organization felt the need for HRD. So in order to remain in the competition, the organization which were very competitive in nature, it was extremely necessary for them to introduce HRD in their system. So these competitive organization who wanted to give tough competition to the foreign companies and all that, what they did, they hired professionals, international managers from other organization, big organization, people who have already worked in this HRD system for many years. They have hired people from foreign countries who have experience in working under such organization, which gives very much importance to the HRD. So they hired those kind of people so that they can understand the concept of HRD, they can implement it successfully within the organization. But what about those companies who are not very competitive and who do not have that much amount of fund to hire someone from outside the country? So these companies faced a lot of challenges, lot of difficulties in even understanding the concept of HRD, to what extent it is going to benefit the employees as well as the management. So it was a big challenge for those organizations who were not very competitive, who did not have huge profits or funds for hiring people from other countries, professionals from other countries. So it was very difficult and challenging for them also. And the last point here says that lack of professionally managed HRD department. Like I always say, that creation of a department, introduction of a department does not mean that it is going to be successful by its own. We have to create programs which are successful, which provide proper result, the result for which such program, such department is actually introduced. So HRD department needs to be managed properly by professionals. And if such professionals are not available, then the HRD department can never achieve the target for, or never achieve the result for which this HRD system or concept is introduced. So the HRD department not only requires a professional to manage, to create HRD programs, but these professionals must introduce new and innovative aspects into the HRD department. And because such kind of professionals are not available for many of the organization, they fail to implement the HRD programs. They fail to implement the concept of HRD, which was the main reason behind falling, or we can say main reason or main problem for many of the organization who did not have such kind of access to professional people, who were not only able to create HRD programs, but they also had to manage it properly. They also had to make necessary changes, improve it on a regular basis. And because of these lack of availability of such people, HR department, introduction of HR department in Indian organization was very difficult. So these are the main challenges which were faced by the Indian organization uh, while implementing HRD department or the concept of HRD within the organization. The next topic is the prospect of HRD. So prospect here simply means the future possibility of happening an event. So what is the future possibility of HRD? As we have already known that human resource needs to be, they need to be treated like the partner of the organization. They need to be treated like an important asset of the organization. So it is already known that human resource plays a major role in the success of the organization. So HRD has a very important place in every organization in future. But what were the things which were made? What were the changes which were made due to which this future possibility, of HRD can happen actually? So prospect of HRD here means that the future possibility of HRD through the various changes which were made in the operations of an organization, which were made by the government, which can create a proper path for the implementation and use of HRD. So I'm going to explain the important changes which took place to make HRD more and more important for the organization in future. Okay. So the first one is it includes uh, treating employees as economic, social, psychological, and spiritual beings. So first of all, HRD, the thought process of the management, the point of view through which human resource are looked upon, that point of view was changed. The employees were treated as economic, social, psychological, and spiritual beings, and they have some kind of necessities. They need to be improved and development. Their satisfaction must be the major concern for the management, and they also help in the success of the organization, economic development of not only an organization but the economic development of an entire nation. So they need to be given proper priority, they need to be given proper importance for the organizational benefit as well as for making human resource more and more efficient. So in the year 1995, the focus was shifted to HRD. So 1995, where companies actually started understanding the importance of HRD, they started implementing HRD, and the focus one was on the development of human resource. How we are supposed to develop the human resource so that the employees can be satisfied, so that the employees won't leave the organization or join a better opportunity, better organization, how to satisfy the employees, and in that process how the organization can also benefit. So in 1995 the actual change took place when the focus was shifted to the HRD or the HRD concepts. And the next point here, that is in the year 1998, emphasis was on HRD and cultural diversity, teamwork, total quality management, all those things. So HRD is very important, but at the same time, cultural diversity became a major part of HRD, because people coming from different culture can bring different point of view, different opinion, different working style. So That was also incorporated in HRD. The teamwork, employee empowerment, total quality management of the employees, how to manage the employees, the quality level of the employees, quality of their performance. So these were the major points which were focused in the year 1998. So in the 1998, major changes took place by introducing people belonging from different culture, introducing their point of view, opinion, their working style, how we are supposed to empower our employees, even empowering the women employees. All those things changes were focused since 1998. So next one was in the year 1999, second National Commission Labor was set up. So in the year 1999, this National Commission was set up regarding the labor force of the organization or the labor force of the country. So this labor commission was set up to understand the condition of labor force within the country, within India, that whether they are paid wages or not, whether they are paid the minimum wages which is their right, whether they are being exploited or not, what is the condition of their working, and each and every aspect of the labor force was, we can say, analyzed in this national commission. The next one is in 2001, emphasis was on smart sizing. What is smart sizing? Instead of having a large organization with huge number of people, it is better to have an appropriate size of the organization with limited people who all are efficient enough to do their work properly and efficiently, and so that the organization can become successful. So it's simply focused on organization not becoming too big by hiring many employees. It is better to have an adequate number of efficient employees rather than large group of inefficient or semi-skilled employees. So that was the main focus in the year 2001. And then came in the year 2003, emphasis was shifted from IQ to EQ. IQ is the intelligence quotient. So like I said, in the process of selection, the intelligence level of each and every candidate was analyzed so that we can understand to what extent the person is intelligent enough to understand a thing within a limited time. So that was the main focus of the selection process, or the main requirement of the organization. But it focused from IQ to EQ, that is emotional quotient. To what extent a person can become emotional. Emotion in what sense? Being practical is very good, but not using your emotions. See, emotions motivate us, they drive us to do better. So this was the main focus in the year 2003. They focus on the emotional quotient of the candidates, of the employees, so they can bring that side within the organization. They can work with passion and passion, and they can work with passion, with a high level of motivation, enthusiasm, and all that. So that was very necessary for the organization. So in 2003, this change actually took place. In the year 2004, emphasis was shifted from skilled workers to knowledgeable workers. See, skilled workers are those who are very efficient in doing their work. But knowledgeable workers have proper knowledge regarding the task they are doing, regarding the job they are doing. So there is more chances of developing knowledgeable workers than skilled workers. So instead of making employees skilled, it is better to make them more and more knowledgeable so that they can understand the importance of their job, understand each and every aspect of the job, so that they can do it better and in a better way. So they would like to develop themselves. They would like to become more and more efficient by becoming knowledgeable only. So again, the emphasis was shifted from skilled workers to knowledgeable workers. The next one is in the year 2005, flexible and virtual structure was in focus. So a flexible and virtual structure, like normally in India, in organization has some hierarchical structure. seniors would be giving directions to the subordinates and all that. It has a hierarchy in it. It has proper ranking. So it was in 2005, it was emphasized to have a flexible organization structure where necessary changes can be made, and it needed to be more virtual structure because it would help the organization to make necessary changes. Instead of creating a rigid hierarchical structure, it is better to create a flexible and virtual structure so that changes can be made, so that people can understand the organization structure in a better way. They can feel that the ranking positions are not that important, their qualities and their potentials are more important. So from that point of view, in 2005, flexible and virtual structure were actually given prior importance. The next, in the 2000 year, HRD became the core of strategy in management. So since 2006, HRD became a part of the strategy which was prepared by the management for the organization, for the expansion, diversification of the organization, even in different other areas. So HRD became an important part in the strategy of the management. So previously strategy were made regarding the product, how to market a product, how to launch a product, what is the strategy regarding increase in profit or expansion, diversification, but HRD also now became an integral part of the strategy. In the next point here says that in the year 2007, HRM was related to human capital management. So human capital management means treating human resource as capital, an important aspect of the organization, and we have to manage it because we spend money on them and we get benefit from them through their performance. So they need to be managed in such a way that so that we can retain efficient employees within the organization. We would spend on them, we would invest on them, and also get return from them through their performance. So that was the concept which was introduced in 2008. In the year 2007. In the year 2008, emphasis was on retention of management and development of human resource by making proper collaborations with the universities and the colleges. So during this time, organizations started the retention of management and development of human resource. Means they focused on retaining efficient employees, developing efficient employees and talented, and they also focused in hiring people directly from the colleges and universities, so they can hire people in the initial stages. The freshers would be hired by the organization and they will be managed and developed according to the requirement of the organization. So that made the HRD concept even more important. Hiring someone, a new person, and appointing someone new directly from the college. So it is very easy for the management to mold the person the way the organization want. So this is one of the important change that took place in the year 2008. So these are some of the changes which were which took place in these years, and these created a bit, and these changes made the future of HRD more and more better. The importance of HRD was increased, and all those things happened. So this is the last topic of GHRD. So your first unit is over after this session. In the next session, I'm going to discuss about a case. I will explain you in detail regarding the case, and then you all will solve the case and send me your, you can send me through Word document, PDF, or you can simply type it down or write it in a paper. So you have to solve those cases and send it to me so that I can give suggestions to make your presentation even more better. Okay, so that's it for today. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.